cartridge, each soldier carried about 200 rounds of ammo. After a while, you swallow a lot of that black powder, and their teeth and their mouths would be stained black from it, from just tearing with their mouth and spitting it out. Lead poisoning after getting hit, because mind you, when the bullet hits you, it's a round ball, or if it's a Manet ball, it's just a different kind of ammunition. It would hit you, and not like today's ammo where it pull a lot of cloth in. This stuff, when it hit you, it'd bring in your dirty clothes into your wound, then causing infection. That's why amputation was so popular during the Civil War, is because the wound would get infected because of what was on your clothes, and from what soldier might have in the ball. Yeah, it's a pretty funny word. What else is there?
Where did you learn all this, Cameron?
Reenactments. Doing them for 3 years.
I have.
What's your question?
Can you do this again tomorrow night?
I could save a round or two.
Okay.
But I want to shoot one later tonight, so I can show that. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Because it's pretty cool.
Max Winter again tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I have enough ammo to do so.
You got 2 more.
If that's okay with Peter.
No, that's fine with me.
Okay.
I encourage him to do it tomorrow.
Awesome.
So the
Just so we can have upper see it as
of
well.
course, yeah, it's pretty fun to watch.
Real sad when I told him about it.
Yeah. So the uniform I am wearing is of a Western soldier. There's 2 main armies during the Civil War, if you want to call them that. There's the or theaters. There's the Army of the Potomac fighting out in your eastern states, and then like Virginia. And then there's your Western soldiers, your Wisconsin, Minnesota soldiers fighting in Missouri, in Arkansas, in Alabama. More Western states during the Civil War. The main difference was the eastern states, a lot of their soldiers wore a hat called the kepi, or the forage cap, which was of French design. The Western Army wearing the black hat, also known as the pattern 1858, or the Hardie hat. Not called the Hardie hat because Hardie was a federal soldier before the Civil War and then converted to Confederacy as the war broke out. He also invented the Hardie drill manual, later changed to the Casey's drill manual for Western and Eastern soldiers of the Union Army. This gun I have is one of the more common ones during the Civil War, issued to a lot of Minnesota and in Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana. The Iron Brigade units, not Minnesota, but it's the 1861 Springfield. Springfield being an American-made gun compared to the British Enfield, 1853. This one shoots a 58 caliber ball, while the British one shoots a .577 caliber. It's just a little bit different. Those were the 2 main rifles used during the Civil War. Yeah, Henry.
What are the gloves for?
Oh, so
Is that a good question or not?
it is a good question. Yes. So as I said before, I'm wearing a Western uniform, and a lot of the Western soldiers were actually issued the dress uniform of the Union Army. A lot of the Eastern were issued 2 things. The Eastern soldiers were issued a sack coat, which is like your fatigue coat, your work coat, and your frock coat, which is your dress uniform coat. And they were issued kepis. The Western units were issued only the frock coats and the Hardie hats, and they were issued gaiters, these white things on my legs, to keep your pant legs clean and dry as best as you can. And the gloves were bought by a lot of the men because, well, Western soldiers like to be fancy. That's one of the main reasons why. The 3rd Minnesota, when marching through Murfreesboro, that's down in Tennessee, they were wearing their white gloves. And a lot of the women in the town thought that these men were officers because of their white gloves and white gaiters. So they invited them in their home for tea, only to learn that they were just privates. I reenacted the unit called the 3rd Minnesota. Got him, good.
You said it.
I reenacted the unit called the 3rd Minnesota because Wisconsin has different bylaws. Yeah. 3rd Minnesota actually surrendered at this town called Murfreesboro. Not because the men wanted to, but because the officers were too scared. After they surrendered, they were released on prisoner exchange to go up north, back to Minnesota. around this time was the start of the Dakota Uprising of 1863. The 3rd Minnesota was sent out to Fort Ridgely, and at Fort Ridgely, they just a bunch of soldiers hopped the wall. Well, it was more of a fence, and they were hungry, so they went to go find potatoes. As they were going to go find potatoes in a wagon, they came across a Dakota Sioux war band of about 400, 500 men, starting the Battle of Wood Lake. So then the rest of the 3rd Minnesota and an artillery unit comes running out of the fort, and they beat the rest of the Sioux, and then later they captured about 300, 400 Sioux warriors, and they were going to be executed in Mankato, but Abraham Lincoln dropped that number down to about 38. If you've ever heard of the Mankato or New Ulm area, it's one of the most, it's the biggest mass execution in United States history of 38 Sioux warriors. And after that, the 3rd Minnesota was sent back down south because they were now a battle-hardened unit. And they fought in Arkansas mostly, and they were stationed as provost or military police in Little Rock, Arkansas. So after they were provost, they were sent to Vicksburg, Vicksburg being one of the most well-known sieges during the Civil War, and that is where that is the last spot they were until the war ended. And after that, only about, it was something low, like 300 of the original 1,000 men were sent back north. The rest had died of disease, and battle was lost in the battle.
Next time I ask you to tie a square knot, you better not tell me you don't remember.
It's over there.
May I have another of my water, please?
Yeah. Water boy, get out there.
Water boy.
You want some cobbler, Cameron?
I'm good right now.
Okay.
Cameron,
Good taste
is this
of lead out of your mouth?